Today, we are going to see how we can teach using Microsoft Teams. So we can have a really engaging classroom, and we can use as many tools that they're going to utilize this process in a better way. We are going to be able to present using sharing. We are going to be able to use the tools as chat, surveys, muting and unmuting, sharing rights to our users. Even though Microsoft Teams, it can be a bit complicated in some of these options. For example, you can see this background and the image that I can be better or altered in Zoom, that we are doing this recording now. Microsoft Teams still hasn't rolled out as many features as Zoom has, but we are going to find our way around using Microsoft Teams. This is the one my organization have, and maybe your organization has, and we should be able to use this one too. So let's start. So let's start by first things first. This is the Teams environment. This is the classroom that my organization has preset for me. Maybe your classrooms are pre-organized from your administration. For example, they are given to you. For example, these ones are ready, or you can create your own ones from this button here, join or create a team. With join, maybe they can give you a code and you can join maybe a teacher's a team, or you can create your own team with this button here. It's really easy. We're not going to get too much in that. We're going to use the history class to be created. Is this one here. You can see from here, you can pretty much edit everything, like the icon here, the description, anything the administration or your university, college has given you the right to. Let's see here on our left side, you can see the tabs. These tabs, not the tabs. You can see the channels, I'm sorry. The channel, the general one, is the one that everyone has access to. It's preset from the administration. Now I have created team 1 and team 2 channels. You can see here, there is nothing inside. The thing with teams is that you can create them and they can be locked like these ones, that they have this locker here. And you can have your students being there and working autonomously and hidden in a way. Like if you want a team 1 to have one project and team 2 has another project, and you're afraid not to interfere with each other, you can have them here working and be their own space, that they can have the files they can want, they can have the meetings they want, and not have any disturbance by the other students. Also, if you want a more open classroom, let's create a channel here. You can press here, manage channels. You can press here, add a channel, and you can create a channel, for example, team 3. And you can have this team open as a standard. The previous ones that I show you, the team 1 and 2, had specific team members have access to it. You can have it open to everyone, and then all your students can click this one, this team there, and they can go. And maybe you can have jigsaw classroom, and you want all the students to walk around, or you want them to share ideas in one point of the teaching progress, or anything at all. You can have them open like that. As soon as you set your rules that we are not going to edit or delete other people's work without asking them. Also, this one, you can prevent it with a bit more, putting some rules. And at manage channel, here you can see the permissions that you have given, and everyone can start a new post, or you can take that. Who can start a new post? Everyone except guests. Guest is your students in this. You can see here. You cannot see it here. For example, in team 2, you can see it better. You can see on manage team that we went here, the members, you are the owner of the teacher, and your students are guests. Make sure if you have a co-teacher to make her also a an owner, so you can create together and you don't have she doesn't have or he doesn't have to ask you permission or have less rights, because guests have less rights. So coming back to our team 3 that we created before, you can see that if I don't want in this team the students to edit each other, I can go here. And for example, I cannot let them edit a post, which is not really fun. So I will let them, all of them, to edit the post or anything at all. And coming back here, you can also create and the same thing that we are showing in the general channel, you can have them on inside the team channel. So here is a general again, that all the posts. Here are the files next to the posts, and all of them are tabs. They can remind you of the tabs that maybe you can have on your Internet Explorer or Chrome or any browser you're using. They're mimifying these tabs. So you can have the file that you have shared all over your conversation here. Like in one point, I have shared 6 days ago a Greek history file, and it has been saved here, so I can access it easily without looking all my posts and going back. It can remind you of a WhatsApp or Messenger conversation this way. Also, I can open separate tabs having specific topics. Like here, we have opened the PPT as a separate tab, so the students have easily access. We had a meeting once, and we keep the notes here. We're going to see that further, and you can add any tab pretty much you want. Microsoft Teams have integrated with a lot of apps that can make your teaching really fun, really more integrating, really more easily. For example, we can see some of them later. You can have a whiteboard, you can have Viva Learning, Flipgrid. We can see them one by one in one video, because they're having many pros and cons of using them. Today we are going to see forms and VBooks. You're going to see why, but we're not going to add them here. This is in order to have them all the time around being here and maybe even be bothering you and overwhelming. So you have to choose really wisely if you want them to be here. And you can always delete them. Like I have this Greek history too, and I can say, I don't want it to be a tab, or I want to be hidden for this time. And I want it to be under another channel. So you can do quite a lot of stuff. Let's remove this one. I'm not going to remove the PPT always. I remove the PPT from being a tab and taking space here. So let's get into it and start the meeting after we have get familiar with the Microsoft Teams space. We are going to really need this space here. So I'm pressing here, new conversation. And I want to organize my meeting so my students have access to it. Or I can press here, meeting, and I can start it as up. Like we already here, I started it, let's say, I keep it like that and join. And we're in. We didn't have to preset something. It was really quick, really easy. It's loading. Give it a time. Now that we're in, it took like seconds. You can see here that I am alone, so I can copy the meeting link and I can invite people. So I can add this to my, I have a separate classroom, maybe Google Classroom. I can copy the meeting link and I can send it to my students, maybe in an email or something. Or if my students, they are in my organization, I can press add participants here. And for example, you can see this student, myself again, that it has been added to this team by the administration or by myself. I can just press here and say request to join, and the student is going to hear beep, 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 like a call, like a team call. Myself will take it. But it goes like that. And always don't be worried. If you want your link, you can click here, the three dots, and you can have the attendance list, like who came, when they left, and manage permissions. For example, it goes back on the general admin. But let's not get to it into it too much. It's not too much. And always you can go here. Mm. And here you can see all the settings of the meeting. You can access that easily by another place. We can see it, but this is whatever you're going to need and whatever Teams is providing sincerely. So who can bypass the lobby? People in my organization, yes, only me. So the lobby is a place that it's putting you, and it's like a waiting room, and should and whoever is there, the host of the meeting can it has the saying of saying, no, I don't want them to be in, yes, I want them to be in. So bypassing the lobby means that your students doesn't have to wait outside and you for you to let them in, because this can be very disturbing for a teacher, because students go in and out all the time, because maybe connection issue or family issue or anything. So being all the time, like I have to put them back in, and you get a notification here, and then you're looking for the notification, you're interrupting your teaching and the flow. So making the bypass easy, allowing bypassing the lobby, and can be really, really, really more easily for really a good idea for you. But this requires to have it a bit the privacy of your students under consideration. A good idea would be to only allow people in my organization to let in. It's the people that you trust and you know. You have put your students, or your admins have registered your students with a name, with their email, and generally. So not everyone, you can want everyone only in your organization, like a co-teacher or anyone in the organization can get in. But if you let everyone, it can be a bit uh it has a hazard inside, that you can have everyone, really everyone getting inside, that has a link to your meeting getting inside. So depending on also on the rules of your organization, what is the code, you can have here people in my organization. So always let callers bypass the lobby, yes or no. And this is what usually you want it said, or else it doesn't have too much. It's easier. And announce when callers join or leave. You can have this as a no, so you're not always bothered by don't get in, don't get out. But if you want to have an idea of what is happening in your meeting, you can have it as yes. So coming here is the more actual meeting, the progress of the meeting. Who can present? Everyone, people in my organization, specific people. Here you can say, for example, I want me and my co-teacher. And for example, I know that 2 students, they have to present the papers today, and I want these 4 people to present. Or only me if I'm really don't want everyone to present. And this can differ to your needs of your every classroom pretty much. Allow mic for attendance. If, for example, you are hosting a big presentation to your whole school or to your whole organization, maybe you want them to be preset as muted. When they're coming inside, you want them to be muted. And maybe you can give them the access to unmute themselves. And the same goes to the cameras, and the same goes to recording. You can have it automatically recorded, or you can set the button. Maybe if you're sure you want to record something and you want to get out of thinking about it every time and being on this way of thinking, you can just press yes and remove it of your mind. You want to allow reactions. Reactions, the emojis you can see popping up, like a yes button or face, or any emojis that has, maybe you don't want them in your teaching. Usually it's fun and interacting, but maybe it doesn't suit your kind of your way of teaching. So here is the way to get rid of them. Don't get rid of them. And provide card captions. Means that you can allow your students or any participant of the meeting to have captions of what you are saying. This is automatic captions. You have always the option to start and generate these captions, but if you don't want your students to start that, you can just press no. Or if you want them to have this option, you can have yes. This is a really inclusive option to have this auto transcripted from teams that students maybe that with hearing problems, they can have access to what you're saying without being outside of the group. Because we had set new we can always copy. Okay, and then let's go back to our meeting. Here is the meeting, and let's see now closely to what is happening in the meeting. You can see myself twice. It can be annoying, but let's close it. So you can close and start the camera. Here, this button is the one you want. Back in. You can see the difference in the camera. This is first because my camera of the video, this one here, it's from an outside camera, isn't the computer camera. If you are teaching, maybe it's better to have an outsourced camera, web camera, but it's going to have a better quality because you can really see the difference of the quality. And also it's because the Zoom is providing some filters and is having some lighting options that Teams haven't rolled out yet. The only thing you can do with your camera, and we're going to see it now, it's having this background filter, the same filter that I have here with my Zoom recording of the recording. Silly. It's here. You're pressing the camera. It's here. You're pressing here. And you go apply background effects. Myself is everywhere. And you can see here, I had this Minecraft from my previous course. You can put whatever background you want. You can preview it here before you put it. So like if you are inside and your students are in and you don't want to play when they're inside, you can pre-watch it here in the corner, as you can see, and then apply and turn on the video. And always you can put your own by press here, add new. Is going to redirect you on your computer. And for example, I am going to put the same picture I have here. They are downloaded from a website in the internet with open sharing. And you can see it here. It went down here. And apply and turn on. I'm going to preview it. I'm going to go directly on it. You can see here, but because the video is flipped, it has been a mirror view. You can see that the letters are you can read it correctly. But if I go, for example, here, if I go here on the device settings, You can see here the camera that it's selected. You can see which cameras you can select. For example, the web camera. I cannot select it, it's black. It's because I'm using it on Zoom. And you see the video is working, we couldn't use your webcam. When you have two apps, adjusting the camera, you cannot take from both. And you can see here, mirror my video. This is also setting that you can choose when you're getting inside the meeting. We didn't see too much because we see it here. And now it's unmirrored, which is really confusing apart from the letters now, but they're opposite because this is how the picture actually is when we download it from the internet. This is how we download it, like that, opposite. Because the people created they created the pictures, and I can show you who created. Is I really like them. The work of them is from this website, weareteachers.com, and they have many pictures. And for example, let's say world's best student. Yes, I want it, and you can see that the picture is opposite because they know you are going to use it as a mirror on your meeting. And it's really confusing also if you want to say, for example, on your right and you are showing the left, and confusing. However, Teams is saying that this changing will only change your view, not the participants when they are in together mode. Bear in mind, Zoom doesn't have this problem. And also you can change your speakers here. So if you find yourself in a situation that you cannot hear your working, you cannot hear, or the students cannot hear you, maybe it's a problem that you have the wrong speakers selected here, and etc. So we reviewed the device settings. We reviewed the meeting options is the one we said before from the Chrome. When we had it on our Chrome, it's exactly the same ones. Who can bypass the meeting, etc., etc. You can see them here. And we are going to meeting options. And we are going to meeting notes. Now, excuse my camera, it's really annoying. Now, if when you are when you are teaching, you want to have notes, either before or after or during the meeting, you can press here, take notes, and you can, whatever you're writing is going to stay here on your notes tab. You can see the Teams redirected me directly here. And let's say I want to say that before the meeting, I want you to have read like and I give the link here, and it's easy. And the students can have access to that, and we can always have access to that. So going back to the meeting, you can see here that it's directly there. It doesn't let me to have access from to the meeting notes from the Teams. You see, always getting back there, which can be a bit of annoying, but yeah. So we see what teachers can do. Also, last thing is turn on live captions. And we are going to review the difference between live captions and transcription. Live captions, you can see them right here. Hi, good morning. We are going to review the history course today. It takes a bit of time, and if the student is trying to lip read and is later seeing them subs, it can be, yeah. And you can see it's not always accurate. I'm not always I'm not also a native English speaker, so maybe that's also why. But it's a really sincere effort, and if you are speaking slowly, you can see that it's having quite good results. And it can really help if you have a multilingual group or different needs group that requires some time, or visual aids, or they have hearing problems. It is great for me. And also great is the turn off live caption, so it doesn't get too much, and start transcription. You can have both. Let's see them both. Turn on live captions. It's going to be amazing. So as you can see, the live captions on this one here is like you're watching a series. They are here and then they are gone. You don't have too much time to process them. Whereas the transcription, which is great, you can the Teams is saving that as a text. And also, as you can see, it has the ability to understand when you're making stops like that. And it's a separate text. And then it's continuing like that. For me, it's doing pretty much great work. And it's even better than the live captions because you can always come back and re-watch that. And if you're a bit have different speed as a student, you can go back and see, but it can be more disturbing because maybe you are taking too much time reading them the text instead of taking part in the course and in the teaching process. Whereas with a live caption, if you didn't read it, you didn't read it, and it doesn't distract you too much. Whereas this big text, it can be overwhelming on the other side. So let's turn off the live caption, which is these ones, and you can see only these ones. For me, it's really disturbing because I can see my grammatical maybe errors. And stop description. And you can even hide it if you feel that your students are complaining or they find it overwhelming, and you can just disappear the transcription. And you can see that your chat is here and untouched. And if your students want to ask something and want to take part in the chat, it doesn't have any integration with the transcript, even though they look like and they have the same structure. They are not integrated and they don't disturb each other. Last thing, you can when your students are texting, a bubble will show up. We can see it right here. Let's go a student in our classroom. Let's have this guest request to join. And now you can see that because my other account is not an organization account, it's a personal account, I don't have access, because if you remember here on the meeting options, you can see that only people in my organization, they can bypass the meeting, the lobby. So this note is popping up and it says, should I admit this one or no? So this is why we said before that if you want, you can have the people in your organization bypass the meeting, or everyone that you trust bypass the meeting. For example, I can have myself as a trusted person and I can bypass the meeting without having this pop up. And now we have two persons. We have two people in the meeting, myself and myself twice. And now you can see how the other options are working. For example, you can have a calibrated talk. So now you can see here is the main one and I am in the corner. And if you had more guests, you could see it better. And also, you can see that if we are going here, the participants, you can choose separately for each participants if you want something. For example, let's go here. This is me as an organizer. This is myself as a student. So I can disable the mic. So if this student, you don't want them to open their microphone, you can close their microphone, or you can allow their mic, or if they have the microphone open, you can mute them. And they're muted. And they are receiving also a message that they have been muted. Also, you can allow them to be a presenter. You can change the role. And maybe you should do that if you have a co-teacher, not on your students. And but if you want, you can give them this option. You can remove them also from the meeting. I haven't found a way that you can allow students to present, but not having this the option of like a co-host, and having the option of muting someone or just show their screen. Zoom has this option. I'm not sure Teams have it this time, or they're going to roll it anytime. Please let me know if you know. And that's it. Also, bear in mind that these things here, they are not in any way bothered, if we can say, from the device, from the meeting options. So if, let's say, we are cancel everything, the students get inside, doesn't have any permission, not the best pedagogically, but yeah, you can need this option available. And you can see that these ones are here available again. Even if you mute everyone, you can allow someone to speak and then someone else to speak. Maybe a more organizing talk in a big room, it can be an option. Having said that, the only thing we cannot show is a together mode that Teams has. It can be quite fun. And then you can see together mode, like everyone being together in some preset option and Teams has, and it can be quite fun. And this is pretty much what we have to use here. Now, let's say we want to make our classroom more integrating, and we want our students to raise hands. This is here. For example, this is from the first thing that you should teach to your students from their side to know. Everything, as we said before, it's from the teacher side. Now the students should know how to raise their hand. That's why this tool is easily reached from here, from this icon here. They can raise hand and they can unraise hand. And also, if we raise again our hand as participants, and if we raise our hand as students, you can see that they have number here, 1 and 2. So you can see in which order they raise their hand, which is quite helpful. So you don't want to be unfair in a way, like let's take it to the order you raise your hand. Bear in mind, it can be fair with students that they don't have the same digital skills that you have, but you have this option. Also, your students can have quite fun using the reactions. Now with reactions, you cannot see them here because they're disabled. Let's come back to the meeting options, correct, and then let's reactivate them, all of our reactions. And now you can see here next to the raising hand, a face icon. It can be confusing that they are together. Maybe a student can wants to raise a hand and gives a like icon, which just pops up here for a second and then it disappears. So it's good and fun for having an interactive classroom. Like if you are sure about that, raise your give a like, or put a love heart, or let's give an applause to the presentation our friend did, and etc. etc. It doesn't have many icons. It only have these ones. I haven't found a way of adding more icons to the students' allowance. Zoom has more again. If you know a way, please let me know. So raising heart is separated from icons with this line here. It's this one. And you can also have access to that with Schedule Shift and K. If, for example, a student has a mouse problem, maybe you can You redirect them on using these three these three on the keyboard keys, the keyboard. So redirect them there. And then you have the icons here. Let's have funny icon popping up. You can see it from the student here. It stays for a second and disappearing. So it's quite fun. It can be integrated. And then on the conversation, you can always have access to the meetings and then the note meetings that we created before. You can type here. Let's say hello. And also bear in mind that on typing, you can press the button here. You can press the button here and you can make this one bold, and then you can have a good morning, and you can leave the good morning in a non-bold, for example. And you can leave the good morning as normal. Only the hello bold and the good morning normal. And also you can make highlights. I can not be read easily, sincerely, no highlight. And you can erase something. And this is really easily if you have your text pre-typed before and you want to transfer it on the meeting chat. It will not alter in a way possible, like if you don't have like extreme editing. It has all the editing pretty much as in Microsoft Word has. So you can have increase and descent. You can even have codes and links, even codes if you're teaching a coding class, and even tables. So it has quite a lot of options. Font colors, let's say I want to make my coloring green, though the background is going always to be black, this one here. So bear that, and blue, dark blue. So bear that in mind when you're choosing colors, for example, not to be too much, not easily read from your students. So this was quite rude for me to say good morning and then erase it. So I can go back here, have students says, they can interact on the message, your students. Yeah, and you can have more students interacting in a message. And so what I start saying is it's quite rude what I did when I can go on the three dots and then edit it. So no worries if you misspell something or you edit something quickly, you can always go here and then press the same icon and then I will say, now your text is correct. And because these texts are staying on the meeting notes on the general one, maybe you want to edit something and not staying misspelled, for example, or you're okay as a teacher and so, but everyone is doing mistakes and we're okay with that. And you can leave it, but I want you to be aware that you can always delete that. And you can always send a file from the computer or from the OneDrive, and you can send other emojis and pictures and stickers. And this is quite fun. Let's say now that you want to record your session. You're pressing here and start recording. And then re-recording is notified. Transcription has started and start recording, because we preset that we want transcription. Is not always like that, because we started before, now it's continuing. If we hadn't had, it wouldn't continue. So if you don't want, you dismiss. And then you can see here that who started the recording and in what minute. And then you can always press here and then stop recording. Stop recording and transcription. And you can start the recording again and again and again, as many times as you want. For example, you want to record a student's presentation only, so you can record and then record and then record. And also, I forgot to mention that all that, and also I forgot to mention that all that, they are saved here on your general. You can see our general here, and the meeting is still going on. Wow. And you can all see them here. This is the meeting, but it's still going on. It has 2 participants. then one. And then you can see the notes we created. You can see the transcript we created. So you can have access to that. Let's say click here, and I can always go back. And I can have the attendance report as a teacher, and I can have the recording. It was 36 seconds, but it's here, and it's saved as a video at the share point of Microsoft. So your students and yourself, you can always have access to that. And also this can be a way recording a material you want, like I'm recording now on Zoom, and then share that to your students, which can be quite interesting. Last but not least, let's use a tool that can be quite, it can quite help. Let's leave this meeting here. The tool we want to use, it's polls. Polls on Zoom is quite easy to have access to it, whereas polls on Teams can be quite a way to find, quite a hazard to find your way around. But as soon as you do it, it can be quite simple. So I want to let you know that you cannot add polls the time we are recording this video from your current channel here. If you create, we forgot to say that, if we create a meeting here, schedule a meeting, we press meet now before, and we can always schedule a meeting. Let's say lesson 2, and require some specific attendees, maybe your co-teacher, but you can leave it open and have some things here to say to your students. Maybe you can set your time zone. Maybe you want them to respond or not respond, your attendees, etc., etc. And it can be easily preset, and your students can find here the lesson 2. And when it's time that the lesson starts, they can just press join from here, and you can find the scheduling right on the general channel. However, from the general channel, you cannot have access to creating polls. No one knows why. We hope teams will find their way and fix that thing. So what you have to do is go to the calendar, and then let's create a meeting, random day. Let's create the one on Wednesday. So we created a meeting. Make sure to add attendees. If you don't add an attendee, it's not going to, again, help you. It's not going to allow you to add polls. So again, I will add myself. Then find me. I add myself and I send it to myself. I don't bother with the other features. Now, if I go back after I created the meeting and edit it, you can see here that I have the option of the tabs. These tabs were not an option, all of them. And first and most important, the add icon, that it was not allowing me to have these options. Now here you can have the option of adding breakout rooms. So for breakout rooms, so you can preset your participants. Let's say you add all your participants and you can preset them in breakout rooms, so you don't have to bother when you start your meeting to separate them in breakout rooms. We're going to show later how you can do that during the meeting, but it's really way more easily if you do that before your meeting. You press create a room, how many rooms you need. Let's say I need 4, 5. And voila, there are my rooms, and I can edit them. I can change the name. For example, it can be the key, can be the fantastic team 1, and I can assign participants. Now I don't have any participants, so I cannot assign them, but generally I can assign them, and I can delete breakout rooms, etc., etc. Now the most important, I should add a new tab, and I should use the forms. I should add it. now it's giving us to create polls through forms. And now a poll tab is going to appear on this meeting only, unfortunately. You have to do that separately to all your meetings or make a reoccurring meeting, but maybe this is going to mix up your meeting notes. So it depends on what you want to do. So creating new poll, and here you can see the forms opening up, and you can have the choice of a multiple choice poll or a quiz kind of poll. So you give a correct answer and you require the students to choose this correct answer, or a word cloud poll. Let's choose a multiple choice poll and let's give the question, how do you feel today? You can use polls in pretty much anything to make interactive the course. It can be like that like this one, how do you feel today, like an opening question, and you want like to gather data of how your students are feeling, or you want to have like questions before you start the course about how well they have they are, about how used they are with the knowledge that the pre-existing knowledge that students have. For example, like how confident do you feel about World War One? Or you can make a word cloud about that. We're going to see it after. How do you feel today? And you can have option. It gives you some some ideas, the AI of the Google of the forms of the Microsoft Forms, and you can have multiple correct answers or one correct answer depending on your questions, and you can share your results automatically when the students are voting. Or you can keep, or you can undo that, and you can keep the resource anonymously. Allow others to co-author and create questions. Maybe you really don't want to do that, or you want your students to create questions. Maybe you want an interactive course and you have assigned your students to read a specific article and then tell them you can create a poll for our course. It's going to really help them to start and be really confident about what they have studied and be responsible of their own understanding of the knowledge. So save as draft. Now we haven't started our meeting yet. So you can launch this question before the meeting and you can have the results before the meeting. So if the student, for example, or you yourself, you can put the questions and you can gather data before the meeting, and then in the meeting, you can just appear the data. Or, and this is by launching, and the students that you have shared or the other attendees that you have shared this with them, they can have access to that. Now we created another poll about it's a cloud, a word cloud, what the sound of World War II brings to your mind. And now we can allow students to add their responses. Now let's see how this is going to work on our meeting, on our course. We press join here. You can see here what we discussed before about the background filters, about the microphones before you join the meeting, so you don't have to work with them during the meeting. So before you get inside, you can work with all of them. And then And then when you join in, you can see this small icon that appear now, the polls icon. And you can see the polls that you have created. And also you can create a new poll now. And you can create the same way you did before. You can create a poll during a meeting. You don't have to create it before. And you can activate it. So how do you feel today? They can press good and submit. This is the same way the students are going to see it, because we pressed to see the result, for them to see the results immediately. They can see the results immediately, and you can always close the poll or export the results, or you can have them after the meeting, or even delete the poll if you have many, for example, or you have make a mistake or any reason. And this is the Google Cloud, and the students can we have to launch it first. We didn't launch this one before the meeting, as we saw here inside our meeting. And if for any reason you feel confused in this small place that you had during the meeting, you can always come back here, and what you create here is going to appear on your meeting. You see this one here is what we were watching during the meeting, and this one here, you see, it's not launched. So for example, I want to launch it during my launch this one during my meeting. So launch, for example, we are discussing and we started, and now the students have access to say their opinions about that. You can see that it's popping in the middle of their screen, so they don't get confused about looking for the poll icon, even though they have access to the poll icon themselves. And they can say, for example, fear, or they can say, and as many, the word cloud is working, but if many students have put the same word, it will be bigger. Or if, for example, let's say for me, it's heroes or countries, or if many students have put the same word, you can see the word appear in bigger letters and in smaller letters. You can have a Google Cloud with all the ideas your students have, the same way that you could write it in a blackboard in your classroom. You can have it here. And also, if I agree with something, forgot, I didn't think about adding it, I can just press like, and it can be quite funny, like how many likes every word has. And you can see even with the likes is changing. This is a good thing. For example, you using Vivox, you will have seen that the students don't have this interaction with a Google Cloud, with a word cloud. They can just put a word and then see the result in the end, where with this way they're seeing the result the same way they're typing. So for example, if another student have put a word I didn't think about it, yeah, I can add that too. And it can be a bit, depending on your teaching style, maybe you want the students to be influenced by the ideas of their the other students, or you don't want them to see their own separate ideas. So in this case, you will unclick the option of them having the answers directly, and you will allow them to have the answers in the end. So that being said, this is a poll. It can be a bit complicated, that you have to go outside and create. Can be a bit complicated because, as we discussed, you have to create on the calendar a meeting, and you have to set participants. And then we forgot to say that you can just copy the link and then go back to your teams, and then can just give the link here. At the current time, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, if you try to do that in the general channel, it will not give you the option of the tabs, unfortunately. I hope it will roll up anytime soon and you don't have this problem. So that being said, you can use all of these tools at your meeting. If you're not used with Google Forms, you can always add an app. Remember that you have this option of adding an app when you are having a calendar meeting, not a channel meeting, from Vivox. And maybe you have Vivox and you already have some questions there and some polls there. It's going to work exactly the same way that is working the Google Forms. And you are giving here your Vivox ID. Let's say I'm going to my Vivox dashboard, and I want my history lesson that I have created in the past. And I just copy the link from here. And I go back here and save. And remember that all this time, if I go to my meeting here, now I also have the VBox app here. The same way I have it during my meeting. I can add it before my meeting. I don't have to do it during the meeting by the same icon I did. And now you can see the history question here, the VBox exactly the same way here. So that being said, you have a small tool here. How do you think about this history lesson? For example, it can be a sum up, gathering the ideas of the children, of the students in the end. It could be just boring and you can have your feedback like that. And this way it's anonymously. And that's it about the forms. Last thing, when you want to share, and we forgot to say that, it's really simple. You press here, share. If you want to share a video, don't forget to click this icon here. Yeah. Include computer sound. I don't know, now it's giving me this message. Go to your device audio setting and select speaker headphones. Yeah, because my speakers are in my, what I'm sharing in my Zoom that I'm recording now. No worries. So I can also have as presenter, the background can be a presentation, for example. I can add the background. It can be from here, or it can be so you can change from here the background too. You can share your entire screen or just some windows. For example, here I have the windows that it's open and I can choose which one to share. For example, I want to share the Teams window. And then you can also have the Microsoft whiteboard option. And this is a collaborative space that your students can create at the same time. And also this will be saved at your meeting notes afterwards, and you can have access to that later. It needs some time to load. Collaborate on whiteboard. Everyone can edit, only you can edit. For example, you want to use it as not a co-working space, it's just like a whiteboard you have in your classroom and you want to write, you want something to be seen here, you can use it like that. Now your students, they can put notes, for example, like that, and they can write, they can paint. They need some time to get used to it, like for us, because like you can give a reaction. For example, I want to react on this one here, but I have to go create again twice. And then you can also have some templates. For example, if you want to create a brainstorming, you can directly give your students this template and they can work on that, like make it bigger and have them create on that. Change this one here and have them create on this one. And you can also lock some stuff. Now I can lock this here, or I can lock the entire thing. It's locked and I can, so they cannot change it if you don't want them to change it. And they can, then they can put write, put notes on top of your template or the way you started your brainstorming or co-working activity. And this also can be preset inside a room, inside this channel, so the students can have access to that and they can co-work and then they can share their results, etc., etc. If we stop presenting and we go back, this is our meeting, you can see our whiteboard. What we have created is not lost, it's still remaining here You can see it, it's here. So you can always have access to that. Nothing is lost. So if we want to sum up, we can see how to create a Teams meeting, how to allow our students to speak, not to speak, how to allow them to have a camera on, how to use our virtual background. Also, you can use a virtual background as a teaching method, like you can have your slides here and you can like actually showing stuff, but very much works. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it doesn't work. We have Curly here. Doesn't work for sure. But it can be really, you can be part of your presentation. We also see how to use polls, how to use whiteboard, sharing, in order to make your classroom and your teaching more engaging and more fun. That being said, thank you so much for staying. Please leave in the comments any questions you have.